Welcome everybody. I'm Christy here at my Artful Adventures, and welcome to Tiny Tuesday. Hi Rhonda. So we are going to make a little matchbook style folio, and you can use this for just something fun. The one that we're using today is going to be made with an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper of cardstock, and I know a lot of people who might be card makers probably have plenty of that size. I do have another one that I can show you another day where I make it a little bit bigger, and you can use it for to actually put some small photos in. I sized one to use like a 12 by 12 piece and then use 3 by 3 photos in it. So that's always kind of a fun thing to do as well. But yes, we got another Tiny Tuesday. All right, I'm going to put you down here at the desk and I grab some of my stuff here, and we'll talk about how to get started with this. So I've already done some scoring. I'm going to tell you what these measurements are. Right off, I'm going to tell you how we scored this. And I haven't done all of it yet, so I could show you as we go along where to cut and all this stuff. So we have scored, and on the short side, you want to score at 2 7/8. And then 5 3/4. So that's these two lines, 2 7/8 and 5 3/4. And then turn it this way. This is 2 7/8, and then 3 inches, 5 7/8, 6 1/8, 9 inches, and then 9 1/4. And so then what you see is you've got these segments that are not all, they're not equally sized. And what these funny little things here are going to be, we're going to make that to where it folds nicely for us, right? So, okay, now I tried to do a little bit of cutting as well, and it did not cut all the way through some of this, but here's what you do. On this shortest section up here, because you can see, let me zoom out a tiny bit. Our Tiny Tuesday isn't quite as tiny today, right? Let me get it to where we can have it in the frame. There we go. So this segment up here is short, right? And so what you're going to do, and I always cut this so that I'm cutting off the score line, which I can see that did not happen on this one. So I'm going to have to recut some of these, you guys. And that's okay. Whoops, that's not the scissors I thought. Not at all. Oh, here they are. But I think I'm just going to use some tiny little small scissors. Hi, Lori. Hi, Gina. Hey, everybody. Thanks for popping in today. What I like to do is I like to trim so that the score lines are trimmed off, because I don't really want the score lines showing. And so we're going to cut these on this shortest section. We're going to cut to the second score line down here. And then we're cutting all of this off. So you're going to, again, cut there to cut that score line off. We don't need to see it. I found this piece of paper. We're going to use some book paper too, or I'm going to use some hymnal paper. And I thought, ooh, this is a pretty blue to work with something like that, right? And so, okay, that one did pretty good. So now I'm just going to trim this one off. I wish it had worked a little bit better with my paper trimmer, but when you're trying to cut up to these lines and stuff, sometimes it's a little bit tricky. And don't tear, don't pull. Use your snips and just get in there and cut it very, very gently. Now these are the ones that did not cut all the way through my paper. So I'm going to go back in here, and we're cutting on both sides of this score, just up to the center section. And then we're going to want to, and you could use a craft knife to get that section out. And I think I actually am going to do that. Let's use a craft knife and get this little section out. That'll be much better. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and so then this one, so we're just going to do that on all of these sections in through here. So you're going to have these little strips that have nothing for now. But this is going to make it so we can fold. Okay, that one looks okay. This one is another one that didn't get cut all the way through. I must not have been pressing on my blade very hard. Well, it's almost through, but not quite. And like I said, I just like to cut those off a little bit. And so if you're just popping on, we're making like a little matchbook style folio, okay? Hey, Jerry, how are you? Everybody, welcome, welcome. And so now I'm just going to take these and I'm just going to pull those off. No, and remember I said don't pull them. Make sure that they're cut, because you don't want to make little places that have torn bits of paper on them. It's not going to look the best. Okay. Alrighty. I've got a little bit of a little piece right there. There we go. All right, so now this is what it looks like. All right, so this was our short section up here. And then you can see these are different widths, and that's on purpose because as we fold and turn, some of them are not going to need as much room as some of the others when they get to folding. Now we're going to alternate on these pieces, and so it doesn't really matter which side you're going to start on. And so we're going to cut off, gotta look at my notes, people, 1 3/8 inches on kind of alternating side pieces, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'll put this one in here. I'm gonna line this up. You know what? Oh, I can put it down here. We'll put it down here, and then I can get a straight line. And so 1 3/8. And so as long as I've got this in here already, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna trim off 2 of them. So this one, did I get all the way through? No. And then I need to lift it so I can move my blade. And just hold it in place. Okay. Now keep these little segments because we're going to use those. We need those in a second. And then let's flip this over. You know, usually almost any kind of cutting board that you've got, you can make it, boy, that's really blowing out that white color. You can usually make it to where you can find a flat place. Oh, you guys, that's terrible. I think this is all that I'm going to have to do on this, so we should be good. So 1 3/8. So let me just line that up there. And then we're going to do this one over here. Okay, super. Now you end up with this. This is going to be our base. Hi, Stella. Hi, Susan. So here's our base piece now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut some little pieces here to make like some little, I guess we're going to make gusset pieces. I guess that's the best way to describe it. So probably about 3/4 of an inch wide. Is that about, let me see if that's right. Yeah, pretty close, about 3/4 of an inch. And it doesn't have to be, we need 6 of them because we need 2 for each pocket. All right. So there's 3. Oh, I wish, and I'm going to trim it off a tiny bit this way. I should have done the others already. And then we'll just keep these nearby. And what we're going to do with these is, oh, now I don't even know which ones I didn't cut. Shoot. I think those. Well, when I get ready, I'll know, right? Okay, that one's long, that one's long. Looks like this one is. Do as I say. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to fold these in half. And if we fold them in half, oh, that's kind of tight. Okay, so just give them a fold, and then you'll have those little guys ready. And so if they're 2, I can measure them here and make sure that they were the ones that I already trimmed off a tiny bit. But by doing our pockets this way, it'll allow our pockets to have a little bit more room. Otherwise, when we fold our pockets, it would be taking up, by the time you add your glue in, then, you know, you're taking up part of your room with the glue, right? So let me just stack these together. And you can see these did not have to be all exactly the same size. Although I'm going to make this one a little bit, that's kind of wide. And then I'm just going to trim a little bit off of the height. Doesn't have to be much. Not much at all. Okay. Okay, so now I've got some pieces that I've already cut. I got some hymnal paper, and I've already inked it a little bit on the side. Oh, I think that might have helped. Oh, wonderful. And so now these pieces, the square pieces are 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. So you can put all of these along in here and decorate those. So those are the squares. And the skinny ones are 2 5/8 by 1 1/4 inches. Okay. And I just put a little bit of ink on the edges. How many of you like to use little quotes on things? This would be a fun thing to use, like some music quotes, or since these were actually, you know, from a hymnal, it would be nice to put some little scriptures on here, right? Something like that, or maybe some little bits from your favorite hymns. You guys, I'm like looking at some of these, and this one was His Grace Reaches Me. And I'm looking at that and I'm like thinking, oh man, that was one of my, I love that song. It just is so, I don't know, I love that song. Hey Diane, hey. No, there is not a printable. This is, I have given the measurements. This is going to go on to, it's going to have a little bit of an edit, and then I'll put it over on YouTube. And when I put it over there, we will get the dimensions right there for you, okay? And so now this one I'll put right here. So this is the side. You want to put it like when you fold up the fold your pocket up, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and I'll put those on before I put the little pocket gussety things on, all right? Okay. I grew up in a church where we had no instrumental music. We only did a cappella singing, like a good 4-part harmony of just people's wonderful voices. Okay, and just one more. I think it's just easier to get these on while, you know, before you put it on this other, before you put our little gusset pieces on our pockets. And I didn't count this. Now, I don't have enough, do I? No, I did not make enough here to cover the other side, but that's okay. It would be easy to do the other pieces. So again, these are, the little squares are 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. Okay, and I just inked very lightly around. I love this color. I don't even know what this color is, but I love it. Those of you who watch me, I bet you know I would love that color, right? So now as we put these in, you're going to put the fold side on the outer edge of these pockets. So sometimes when I turn things like that, I'm just like, why did I do that? You know, it's just like, it didn't even make any sense why I would turn it like that. So we're going to put it right here, and I'm just going to kind of put it in the middle, or actually I'm going to put it up more towards the top and just get that down there and put one on both sides. You know, for those of you who ever watch me, you know, I talk a lot about, you know, how you fold sometimes, the best way to fold with the grain of the paper. And I can tell that these little pieces were not folded that way because they're not folding very nice. They don't have nice folds. But it's okay. It's still going to work, right? Okay, so we've got that there. So glue the one side on first, and then do this side. That'll just make it easier for you, especially if you use some kind of glue that doesn't have a lot of, you know, workable time for you. Okay, so now what has happened by making that, we have made our little, let me push this down. We have made this little pocket have more room, clear the whole length of side to side. If we were to glue that pocket right down, we'd be losing a good amount right in here because the glue would take up that space, right? So that is just a handy thing to keep in mind when you are trying to make some pockets. Just give yourself a little bit more room when you add a little bit of a gusset here. And I don't have any cute little words to put on here yet. I had to find my instructions. How many of you? It's been over 2 years since I made one of these. And so I had to find my instructions with my measurements and stuff. And I had forgotten I'd made a larger one as well that actually could put 3x3 photos in. So I love doing that too. And you know, sometimes I used to think, well, what in the world could you see if you're using little pictures that are only like a 3x3? Well, you know, really quite a bit, honestly. You really can see quite a bit. Okay. And then one more. We're going to make a little button closure on here too. It won't take us very long. And I'm going to show you another little trick of how to use something that you may have. You know, a lot of times we can make little things and use things that we have around without having some specialty tools. Now, I'm not going to discount having some specialty tools because they are very helpful. They can be super duper helpful, right? Diane says she listens to me always. Well, I gotta go back and read that comment. For example, she's inking a pocket she already made, and guess how she's inking it? Oh, yes. Diane always wants to be the teacher's pet. We laugh about that all the time. Oh, I tell you, many of you, I love watching the things that you make too. It does my soul good to see the wonderful things that you take, that, you know, you've watched so many of our presenters, you know, share with you, and you take it and make make it your own. Hi, hey, Linda, how are you? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Up here at this top, I'm going to give it a little curve. Let me show you this little trick right here. Take like something round. You can take like a spool of your ribbon. You could take a jar lid, something like that. All you want to do is you need it to be able to extend off both sides right here like this. And we're just going to take and draw a line. We're just going to, you know, follow that around. Just kind of center it as best you can. And then just draw it. You just want the top to just come right here. And now we'll just trim this off. And then you have an interesting shape, way more than just using, you know, a corner rounder, right? A little bit more interesting. And now it's enough of a curve that you can get a lot of trims to go ahead and stick onto here. And that is, it's kind of, well, it'll do, right? Okay, so, and you could put, you could use a magnetic closure if you wanted to on here. If you were going to do that, you would want to, this would be a good time to do it before you put anything on here. Those tiny little Velcro dots would be perfect. But I'm going to do a different closure on here. I'm going to show you, we're going to do a button. We're going to put a button on here. But first, I got a tiny bit of trim. I love how Linda says she saw trim. Oh, here's some. This is what I got out to use. So we're going to put this on here. And we're just going to use it along this edge. Now I'm going to just reach out here and I'm just going to curve it around here. I'm just going to use my reptile glue because it dries pretty quick, but I need it. You can use it for fabric, but I'll need to get a kind of a hefty amount here to make sure it'll grab, and I'll have to hold it a second, but that's okay. Now, does this have a right and wrong way? Yeah, I'm going to put it this way. Sometimes your trim, you know, you love miniature anything. Sherry, yeah, right? I agree. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I always have. And I'm going to leave that way off over there. And then I'll just gently curve this around. And it has enough give in this trim that you can just pat it down and it'll work. Look at that. Ta-da! Okay, now, let me see. Let me see if these scissors are a little bit better. Oh yeah, those are good. Let's cut along here. You know, I'm gonna flip it this way. Whoop. Let me press that down real good. Oh, some of this is not on there super good. There we go. Make sure it's glued down. And now I'm just gonna go straight along here. And you guys, if you have a pair of scissors that you don't use that much for fabric or ribbon or trim like this, one of the things that you can do is use it. Oh, that's good. That's kind of messed up. If you use it more towards the back of your blades, those are going to be sharper because we don't tend to use, oh man, this might not have been the best trim to use for this because you're not usually using this very back part of the blade and they tend to be a little bit sharper. Excuse me. And then, you guys have seen me do this a million times. Whoops. Just give it a tiny bit of glue along here. You can put it on your finger first if you want to. Just tap it on there and it'll help keep it from raveling out. So let's do the other side. And then a lot of times on a trim, you can kind of put it back together like this one. As we pat that down there with that glue, we can get this little loose guy to kind of blend in better. So that's okay for now. I might have to go back in and fix that one. I pulled out this button. It's kind of different, kind of cool. And I'm going to use this button for my closure, okay? So what we're going to do, I love this crochet cord, you guys. I use it so often for little closures. In a pinch, I have even used it for, I need this kind of long because we're going to be able to wrap it around. In a pinch, I've even used it for binding. Okay, so I'm going to go down through the top. Just going to poke through here. Ooh, that's going to be kind of, that needle is not that. You know what? Let's do this. Let's see if we can't find something sharp. Sometimes just a good old straight pin can be a good tool for you to get some holes poked. Okay, so we got that one there. And let me just poke one over to this side. We just need a starter spot. Okay, so again, let's grab this at the top. This is a really interesting button. I mean, when I first picked it up, I thought it was going to have a shank on it, and it does not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a good sized tail and plan to do something so I can tie this somehow. Somehow. How's that for a plan? Somehow. Now I can see where I poked right here. Well, that came right off. Can I get it through here? Let's see. Let's see if I can get it through. Oh my goodness. No. No, I can't. Let's try again. Okay, I gotta keep my finger on it so it doesn't escape this time, you guys. This is one of these things where oh, you lost the audio. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad it's back. Okay, let me hold the button this time while I find the hole. And just poke it through the other way. Okay, now, when you've got something like this, part of what we're going to need to do is have enough room under the button to like run this cord around it, right? So I'm going to use a couple of these needles and I'm going to put them between the where I'm doing this, okay? And now I'm just gonna tie this. I want to tie it so it can have some form of, you know, looking like it was supposed to be this way, right? So I'm just gonna tie a little square knot right here, like that, okay? And pull these out. And now as I'm thinking about this, as I'm doing this, I'm like, wait a second. Wait a second. Is this gonna work? Okay, cut this. We don't need any more of this. We'll just leave a little bit so it looks cute. Like that, okay? Okay, now we'll just take this like this. And now we'll just tie it. We'll tie it under the button. And I don't need to leave. I don't know how much I'm going to need. Well, shoot. I don't know. I don't need that much, that's for sure. Let's just make enough to tie it underneath, because we can just make a knot and we can trim this close. I'm actually going to just do one more segment. Okay, now I can cut some of this off right here so that doesn't stick out. And now, you guys, I am not going to trim. I like to keep some amount in this needle, and I just stick it in here so it doesn't get lost. And that always gives me one that I know where it is, right? Okay, so now then, all we need to do is we can fold all of these up, and you can tuck whatever you want in here. You can put like some little phrases or little scriptures or whatever you want here. We'll put this on here, and now we've got one of these fun little things like this. I should have left more. I didn't, but that's okay. And then you can do that, and then, you know, trim it off. So leave a good amount of string on here. Then I could have gone around more than once. I guess I could fix it, but, you know, go so that I'd prefer to have it go around like a couple, 2 or 3 times, because that just makes me happy looking at it. I don't really like this one with one. But anyway, there you go. So then you can do one of those little closures like that. And there you have it. There you have it. So I hope that you have enjoyed this today. And like I said, once I do a bit of edit and get it over there to my YouTube channel, then I'll put the measurements in, and the score lines and the cut lines, okay? So I'm going to have to put a tiny bit more glue on there. But yeah, there you go. You got all these fun little pockets and just a fun little matchbook. It's bigger than a matchbook, but, you know, it kind of folds up like that, right? What do you think? What do you think, people? Did you think that was fun? You think you would make one? You guys, thanks so much for joining me here on Tiny Tuesday again. And I will see you next week for another Tiny Tuesday, okay? Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.